Good morning.
Good morning.
Isn't this a beautiful day? Oh my. We're so bright and cheerful in here. Welcome to Horizon Unitarian Universalist Church. My name is Pam Schumann. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I am serving as your worship associate this morning, and I'm joined by our worship leader, the Reverend Chris Rothbauer, whose pronouns are they, them, their. We're excited to welcome you to our worship service this morning. We're so glad to have you here today, whether you're joining us in person or virtually, whether you have been here, whether you're here for the first time, or whether you've been here for longer than you can remember. Here at Horizon, we welcome people of all faiths and of no faith in particular. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on your journey, you are welcome among us. As a community, we also welcome the sharing of joys, sorrows, and concerns. So you're welcome to fill out a joys and sorrows slip. There's some here on the front. There were some at the Welcome Center when you came in. There's some in the pockets of the chairs. And you can also light a candle if you wish. Any of this can be done at any time before the service or in service, from the beginning up until the offertory. We have a couple of announcements today, so let me give the floor to Lisa Casto first, our board president.
Good morning. Who can guess what my announcement is? At our annual congregation meeting, where we're going to vote on the budget and get updates about, so many amazing things that are happening in this church. So please join us. We're going to try to start at 11:45 after you've had a chance to do what's going to come up in the next announcement, and look forward to seeing you here.
Yes, I am here to say, please stay after the service for the coming of age classes. Taco bar lunch, there are gluten-free and vegan options for everyone, and they accept cash, check, and credit card, I understand. So please support our coming of age students who will be traveling on their UU Heritage trip to Boston next summer.
Good morning. I'm Sandy Steele. My pronouns are she, her, hers. We, on Friday, right before Pride, received our renewal as a welcoming congregation. To do that, we had to show 5 practices of welcoming. So we qualified, and we're really excited about it. The timing couldn't have been better. So, way to go, group.
So the other announcement is from me and Reverend Chris. Today we take part in a unique UU custom, the flower ceremony. Those of you who are watching online, I hope you have a flower nearby, or perhaps you can use your imagination to visualize one. For those here in person, I hope you have your flower in hand. You'll need it later on. Either one that you brought from home or one you chose from the extras available in the sanctuary. If you still need a flower, please raise your hand and the ushers will bring you a flower, because you're going to need it later on, choir too. Okay, and please hold on to this beautiful flower from your seat. For now, it will be part of the lovely ceremony of friendship later in the service. There are many other announcements in the order of service and inserts and so on. We are very busy folks, so take a look at those too.
Our opening words this morning are from Tess Bomberger. There will be a brightness to this day, even if there be but cloud and rain outdoors.
The brightness of this day comes from within, from this gladly gathered company.
There will be color and fragrance to this day, even if there be but gray and chill outdoors.
The color and the fragrance come from within, from the flowering of our spirits in this place.
There will be praise and laughter to this day, even if there be difficulty elsewhere in the world.
The praise and the laughter come from within, for our hearts leap within us as we gather together to worship.
Today, let there be brightness.
Today, let there be color and fragrance.
Today, let there be praise and laughter.
Spirit of the flowers blooming, be with us.
Flowers of the Spirit blooming, be with us.
Our chalice lighting today is from Amy Zucker Morgenstern. Within the heart of the flower, the fountain of beauty. Within the heart of the community, a fire that warms and dances. Within the heart of each of us, a spark of the Spirit of life. Holy, holy, holy. And speaking of flowers, each day through the summer, we water our flowers that we planted communally on our Earth Day ritual in April to remind us of the seeds we plant in community each time we come together at Horizon. They're going to bloom soon. Look how well they're doing. Please join me in saying our watering words. You'll find them on the screen behind me. In colors bright and essence sweet, like flowers we blossom when we meet. O source of life, our song we raise. This beauty fills our hearts with praise. And now please join me with our affirmation, which is printed on the back of your service and projected on the screen. Love is the doctrine of our church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humanity in harmony with the earth, thus do we covenant together. And now I invite you to rise in body or spirit and join us in singing our opening hymn, hymn number 64 in the gray hymnal, or the words are also projected. Oh, give us pleasure in the flowers today.
This is our weekly reminder that Horizon contributes to the larger community in many ways, but one of the ways we do it is by donating to MetroCrest services and to our little free pantry outside. So those are shelf-stable food items and personal care products that are highly needed. We're not calling anybody up front today, so after the service, you're welcome to drop your donations here in the basket or in the lobby. And so I am going to be doing a story today. I'm going to be, I do not, because of everything up here, we're not going to call anybody up front. And it looks like I kind of have a little audience up here anyway. So This is great. I'm excited about this story because this is one of my favorite stories. There's a collection called Tapestry of Faith, and this is one of my favorite ones about flowers. I love flowers anyway. So, once upon a time, there was a field. It had dry grass, brambles and thistles, high places and low places, and rocks scattered all around. And there was even a little stream that went through. And scattered around here, there, and everywhere, there were flowers. There were all different kinds of flowers. And maybe you can see them on the screen, just peeking out between the stands of dry grass. Now, you may ask, how could flowers grow in such a dry field? Well, the answer is that next to each flower was a little hole in the ground. And in each hole lived an animal that took care of that flower. Most of these animals were rabbits, but there were hedgehogs and field mice and even badgers. Every morning, each animal would come out of its hole, hop or scurry down to the stream, and take a leaf, scoop up the water, and then water its flower. In a little gully in this field, next to a tall sunflower, lived a rabbit. Every day, she would go down to the stream and get some water for her sunflower, and she loved that flower. It was tall and bright and strong and healthy, and she took very good care of it. And so one afternoon, the rabbit decided to hop up to the top of a little hill alongside her gully. When she got to the top, she saw something she had never seen before. Down a ways, she saw a flower, and she really couldn't tell what it was. Maybe a daisy? It was hard to tell. The flower looked in bad shape. Now, why had she never seen that flower before? Not that it was a big mystery, she just never happened to climb this hill. And of course, she knew the field was full of flowers, and she might have heard that some flowers were not doing as well as her sunflower, but she'd never actually seen one that looked as bad as this one. And so she hopped down the hill to take a closer look. And then she began to understand. The flower needed water. It was bent over and wilted. The ground around it was parched and dry. The rabbit felt that the flower could be neglected, but then she did nothing. Even though the flower looked terrible, it just was one flower in a field after all. The field had plenty of other flowers, and they were doing fine. The rabbit had enough work to do watering her own flower, and so she went home, went on with her own business, getting up every morning, going to the stream, watering her sunflower, and hopping around all afternoon, doing rabbit business. But she couldn't forget about that half-dead flower. At least once a day, the rabbit thought about that flower and started wondering about it. And every day, it started just looking worse and worse. And then it started to get to her a little bit. The rabbit thought about that flower at night when she was trying to sleep. She thought about it in the morning, in the afternoon. She couldn't even enjoy her flower because that other flower was on her mind constantly. So what she did, and she had all sorts of excuses. She thought, oh, it's somebody else's flower. It's none of my business. Maybe that flower preferred to be neglected. Maybe that's what it just looked like. But every time she snuck a peek, that flower was wiltier and wiltier. And finally, the rabbit couldn't stand it anymore. One morning, hopping from the stream with her leaf of water, she thought, okay, this is just not right. I'm going to do something about it. So she took her leaf of water and started hopping over to the wilted flower. The rabbit hopped close to the dry flower, closer than she had ever gotten before. And then suddenly, a hedgehog poked out his head from the ground. The hedgehog yelled, "Hey, what are you doing?" "I was going to water this flower," said Rabbit. "It's too dry, and if I don't water it, it will die." The hedgehog said, "Well, what business is it of yours if this flower dies? This is my flower. I'll take care of it how I want. Go home and take care of your own flower." The rabbit answered, I'm sorry, I tried to ignore it, but I couldn't. Flowers are supposed to be bright and beautiful. Can I please water this flower?" "Oh, whatever," said the hedgehog, and he fussed and mumbled and gave her mean looks all the while she watered his flower. And she turned around and hopped back over the hill. And the next day she came back with a leaf full of water,
asked permission and watered it again. And the day after that, it happened again. And then another day, and another day, and another. And all the whole time, the hedgehog continued to fuss but did not say no. But the flowers started to look better. First, the petals perked up, the stem began to stand up a little taller, then its leaves started to fill out and get bigger. The flower even grew. And strangely enough, as this flower grew brighter and healthier and taller and more beautiful, so did all the other flowers in the field. And the rabbit's own flower, in fact, too. Flowers, the rabbit noticed there were flowers she had never even seen before, and the whole field began to brighten as the colors of every flower enhanced in the field. It was almost like there was more water everywhere. So how could that be? Were there other rabbits and hedgehogs and field mice and even badgers watering other people's flowers, other animals' flowers? Or was it because when someone waters a wilting flower somewhere, all flowers everywhere grow a little brighter? Well, we don't know, but we'll just have to wait and see. So thank you all for listening. I am going to ask that as the music plays, our kids file out through the back. And thank you so much.
Okay, it is now time for our offering, and we'd like to welcome this month's Share the Plate recipients, Wendy and Chris Williams from North Texas Transportation Network. They will be our recipient for the month of June.
Good morning. Thank you for allowing us a few minutes to come and speak with you this morning about North Texas Transportation Network, otherwise known as NTTN. My name is Wendy. My pronouns are she, her, and this is my spouse, Chris, pronouns he, him. So for the June Share the Plate this year, or this month, sorry, not this year, this month, like we said, we're here for North Texas Transportation Network. I believe there's some information about us in the yellow insert in your order of service this morning. Last year, NTTN was founded by our church, Galileo Christian Church in Arlington, Texas, in response to Senate Bill 14, passed in the 2023 Texas legislative session, banning gender-affirming health care for minors. Transgender minors are some of the most vulnerable among us, and NTTN was founded on the principle that healthcare decisions should be made in private, in conversations between physicians, minors, and their caretakers. To explain more about NTTN, we have a short video for you.
Hey y'all, Cynthia Daniels here with the North Texas Transportation Network, or NTTN for short. We are a 501c3 nonprofit that provides travel grants to families residing in North Texas who are seeking out-of-state health care for their trans and gender-diverse youth due to the passage of Texas Senate Bill 14. According to the Williams Institute, there are 300,000 transgender youth in the United States, 30,000 of those in Texas, and several thousand in North Texas who can no longer receive their life-saving health care. You may have a lot of questions about how this process works, and it's really quite simple. Applicants can go to our website, nttngives.org, where they will find a phone number to contact our applicant care specialist. There will be a few verifying questions that will be asked, and if they qualify, the applicant care specialist will start the process of getting the travel grant sent to them. The family gets to decide what state to travel to, how they want to travel, and what doctors to schedule appointments with. NTTN provides the funding. The travel grants are $1,000 a piece, and families can apply twice a year. I just want y'all to know that I am very passionate about NTTN and the well-being of transgender youth because my adult daughter is also transgender. When she was 17, we were able to get her life-saving health care without any interference from the state. Now she is a happy, healthy adult living her best life. And I want to be able to help families that can no longer get the same care for their trans or gender diverse youth. Our steering committee is made up of all volunteers. Some are parents of trans youth, some are trans or LGBTQ themselves, and some are allies. But all of us are passionate about helping trans youth and being good neighbors. As of today, NTTN has been able to provide travel grants to 30 families, but we know many more will be applying in the coming months and years until the laws in Texas change. So please go to nttngives.org to apply, donate, or just send us a note of encouragement. By road or by air, either way, y'all, it's expensive to get out of Texas. And NTTN looks forward to partnering with you. Thank you so much.
So NTTN serves 19 North Texas counties, seen here. You don't have to memorize all those, but it is North Texas specific. And we are here today seeking your support. As Cynthia mentioned in the video, it is made up of an unpaid volunteer board and team, and administrative expenses are covered by Galileo Church. So 100% of your donations go directly towards funding the travel grants. You can donate today in person, as you can see the insert in your order of service. Also, if you're online today or if you choose to give at a later time, you can donate all month through the horizonuu.org website by clicking Give and Give to Share the Plate donation. You can also write checks made to Horizon UU with NTTN in the memo. Also, just one last note. NTTN is very honored to have been selected as a beneficiary for the Black Tie Dinner this year, which is the largest LGBTQ plus supporting dinner in the country. And so there's one other way you can give to, which is through the auction for Black Tie Dinner and selecting NTTN. So thank you from all of us at NTTN. If you have any further questions, Wendy and I are going to remain after service for a few minutes and would be happy to have a conversation. Thank you.
Hard act to follow. Our first reading comes today from Mark Nepo. The heart is very much like a miraculous balloon. Its lightness comes from staying full. Meeting the days with our heart prevents collapse. That is why 90-year-old widows remain committed to tending small flowers in the spring. Why 10-year-olds with very little to eat care for stray kittens, holding them to their skinny chests. Why painters going blind paint more. Why composers going deaf write great symphonies. This is why when we think we can't possibly try again, we let out a sigh that goes back through the centuries. And then, despite all our experience, we inhale and try again.
In honor of Pride, our opening story today is one of pride. The summer of 1969 in Manhattan's Greenwich Village neighborhood was a hot one in more ways than one. Patrons of the Stonewall Inn, the largely queer and transgender people, simply gathered to find community and belonging in a society that saw them as less than human, were gathered as police from the New York City Police Department's Vice Squad once again raided the premises, harassing and arresting customers who only wanted to be left alone, but were seen as less than human in the eyes of the law. But this time, something was different. Some say it was a particularly hot day. Some say there was grief in the air after the tragic death that same weekend of actress Judy Garland, an icon of the queer community. But for whatever reason, there was a pissed-off drag queen in the bar that day, and she threw a makeup comeback. And then another did, and another. And what ended up happening was 5 days of rebellion that would see the numbers inside the Stonewall Inn swell as police struggled to put an end to it. And though it eventually did end, the events that night on Christopher Street were enough to inspire successive generations of LGBTQ people to refuse to be subjugated to an unjust system that would force them to go underground at the risk of their livelihood or even their lives. In the years following, LGBTQ activists began wearing lavender flowers to events in an effort to retake a word that had often been used to describe queer people in a derogatory way. Most famously, when Carl Seaberg described President Abraham Lincoln as having a streak of lavender. But lavender is a perennial plant. It comes back year after year after year, often blooming from spring through the end of summer. Lavender also has a calming effect on many people, and many believe that lavender essential oils can help people relax. For these LGBTQ activists, this lavender could be seen as a doorway towards resilience and a way to take care of themselves. When someone suggested that I use a Pride story for Flower Communion this morning because of it being Pride Month, at first, I must confess I didn't see an obvious connection. But the story of Stonewall and the subsequent reclaiming of lavender as a symbol of the queer community reveal two aspects of renewal it's difficult to ignore. There are times when renewal means taking care of myself, maybe putting on a few essential oils, putting the cares of the world to the side so I can recover my energy and a little bit of myself, taking in that lavender to find the center within myself. This is, after all, the meaning of the term self-care. But there are also times where that demand that I not sit out, that ask of me that I be willing to rise to the occasion and be counted, to be willing to put myself on the line for the hope of a better world, to be a perennial, willing to rise up again and again and again, no matter what life and the world throws at me. Because this is renewal as well. Renewal of the place, of my place in the world and the systems I live under. The paradox is that in both of these cases, my renewal means I'm new to the world, untested, and I'm not sure how my new energy will be received. The gay liberation movement could have been snuffed out in burnout. I could have been stuck so often in places I wasn't ready for when I was finding myself. Author Daniel Abraham put it this way, using flowers as a metaphor for renewal. We say that flowers return every spring, but that is a lie. It is true that the world is renewed. It is also true that renewal comes at a price. For even if the flowers grow from an ancient vine, the flowers of spring are themselves new to the world, untried and untested. So it is appropriate for me that I'm talking about renewal this morning in the flower ceremony. Czech minister Norbert Chapek was looking for a way to bind his diverse members in unity as they departed for the summer. You see, once upon a time, Unitarian congregations closed in July and August. Can you believe that? Chapek chose flowers as a way of reminding people that despite how different they were bound to the common love of God, a love that would not let them go no matter what. So they would bring a flower, plant it in a communal vase, and take another flower, one brought by someone else in the congregation. And this sort of community, the community that asks whether we need to renew by sitting out or renew by rising up, is for me the true meaning of the word. Whether you need some self-care right now or you're ready to rise up and demand a different sort of life from whatever ails you, we need one another. What they don't tell you in most writings on renewal is how hard it is to do on your own. The Stonewall Inn rebels had each other. In times that I've found myself renewing, I had my mother in an assorted, small community of family, friends, and coworkers. This is the greatest gift of community for me, that like spring flowers that seem to have returned, but are an untried batch of new ones, we can come to community in our vulnerability, unsure of whether we'll make it or not, but in the knowledge that there are people around us also struggling to find a way in the world, who will hold us up when things get difficult and remind us that perseverance leads to great reward. This is why I go to church. I don't have to, after all, although if I didn't, I might need to find another job. I could sit at home and read and meditate, go walk the labyrinth alone, or find other solitary pursuits to do. And sermons are nice as well, but I could watch those at home as well. No offense to anyone watching me at home this morning. There are good reasons for doing that. But it is in this community that I know my life can be affirmed, where I know a better world is possible, and where I can find the courage to renew myself before the coming winter. Preaching and religious education classes and small groups and social action are great, but it is in the community of souls where you will be able to say with Chapek, even though disappointed 1,000 times or fallen in the fight, and everything worthless would seem, I have lived amidst eternity. Whatever renewal looks like for you right now, wherever you are in the season of your life, know that this community is here to accompany you on the journey ahead. And if you feel like it isn't, make an appointment with me and we'll talk about how it could be. Whether you need to sit back and take care of yourself this season or claim the possibilities just beyond the horizon, you don't need to go it alone. Just as the untested flower is just as likely to wilt as to grow big and strong, so are each of us likely to fall down or fail at some point, and will need, in the words of the old Motown song by Bill Withers, somebody to lean on. May it be so. We take time now to honor the sorrows and joys of this community, knowing that we are all interconnected and that what affects one affects us all. A concern for all who are impacted by recent storms, both in here and in other states, and a joy for the resilience of our neighborhood to come together and help one another in the times of recent crisis. Laura Cargile shares a joy that she is delighted and thankful to be starting a new job tomorrow. Bill Moore shares a sorrow. He lost a friend, Eddie, that I saw every week. Be kind to those in your daily lives. You never know when your kindness will help them get through hard times. And from Chris and Gina Jacobs, a sorrow of temporarily leaving Horizon soon, but a joy of a non-Texas summer in New Hampshire. We light a candle this morning to honor all those joys and sorrows that have gone unspoken and reside only in our hearts. Please join me in the spirit of prayer or meditation in whatever way feels right with these words from Claire Feingold Thorin. After the reading, we'll have a space of silence, which will be broken by our responsive hymn, number 398 in the Teal Hymnal, To See the World. Let us give thanks for a bouquet of people. Let us give thanks for children. Like tulips and iris, they multiply all around us, making the world even more filled with color, beauty, and new life. May we bless them as they replant themselves ever further from us, knowing that they need their own space to grow into. We give thanks for generous friends as constant in bloom as echinacea, and whose gifts lift up our body and spirit. We give thanks for feisty friends, as indomitable as geraniums, and for continuous friends who, like bittersweet and ivy, hold on and never let go and can never be gotten rid of. For crotchety friends as prickly as rose bushes, their beauty a secret is only discovered through careful gardening. For surprising friends who at first glance seem dour and then blossom into joy as quickly as forsythia. For funny friends, silly as snapdragons, and serious friends, complex as crustaceans. For comfortable friends, their gentle presence as soothing as the smell of lilacs. For stormy weather friends who stand by us in hard times, like lily of the valley that cannot be deterred by shade or shadow. For old friends nodding like sunflowers in the evening time, and young friends coming on fast as flocks. For friends as unpretentious as dogwood, as persistent as pachysandra, as steadfast as azalea, and who like snowdrops can be counted on to see you through the winter and remind you that spring always comes. For loving friends who wind around us like wisteria and embrace us despite our blights, wilts, and witherings. And finally, for forget-me-not friends, gone but never forgotten, their beauty lives on in our memories and our hearts. For this bouquet of flowers who brighten our lives, each in their own way, we give thanks.
Blessed be.
Our second reading comes from Teresa Schwartz and David Schwartz. His mother was a devout Catholic, his father agnostic. He became an acolyte at age 10 in 1890 at St. Martin's Catholic Church. In the years that followed, he became disillusioned. His priest was a cynic. At 18, apprenticed to his uncle, a successful tailor in Vienna, Norbert discovered the Baptists and became a minister. He founded almost a dozen churches from Ukraine to Budapest. Yet slowly, his faith became more and more liberal. He left Bohemia under government threat and accepted a call to serve a Baptist church in New York City, until one day in 1919, that day he wrote in his diary, "I cannot be a Baptist anymore, even in compromise. The fire of new desires, new worlds is burning inside me." Norbert and his wife, Maya Chepek, joined a Unitarian church in New Jersey in 1921, for the same reason a whole lot of you did. Their children liked the religious education program. That's the power of our Sunday school teachers. World War I ended. His home country now independent, he and Maya returned home to Czechoslovakia. His Unitarian church was the Prague Liberal Religious Fellowship. In just 20 years, his church had 3,200 members. The transitional Christian communion service of bread and wine wouldn't meet the needs of his congregation because his church, like ours, had people who believed different things. Chapek turned to the beauty of the countryside, to the beauty of flowers. In 1923, he developed the flower ceremony. He asked his congregants to bring a flower to church from their gardens, the field, or the roadside. He invited each person to place their flower in a vase. There was the church community, no less unique for being united. Following the service, each person could take a flower from the vase, a different one than they had brought. Chapek was a visionary minister with a church ahead of its time, a bold church, a church thinking beyond its doors, beyond what it thought possible. It was a church that was willing to take risks, to make tough decisions, to bear disappointment, and to build a new way. First by building a church, and that church could build up the world. That is our church. That was Chapek's church. For this, the Gestapo arrested him in 1942. The Nazis accused Chapek of listening to foreign broadcasts and sent him to the Dachau concentration camp. Even in starvation and torture, he held a flower ceremony with his fellow prisoners, finding whatever flowers they could find among the weeds of the camp. They testified to a beauty larger than themselves and a love that would outlive them. The Nazis killed Norbert Chapek, but his spirit, courage, and commitment live on today. Those qualities have passed now on to us to make them real. His wife, Maya, brought the flower ceremony to the Unitarian Church in Cambridge, Massachusetts in 1940. What we are about to do is not a historical reenactment of something over and done, but an affirmation of our continuity with the generations of struggle for ever widening liberty. This flower ceremony, lovely though it is, isn't a diversion from ugly reality, but a gentle fierceness which proclaims that in the midst of sinister days, there is always the light of beauty. We are here not to recall something that happened, but to remember something that is happening, to remember, to put it back together again. And in remembering, may we put ourselves back together again, each as part of the body of this community, out of many, one. Today, we celebrate this ritual of solemnity and joy. As Chopek asked his people to bring a flower and celebrate beauty, so shall we.
Will somebody wear me to the fair? Will a lady pin me in her hair? Will a child find me by a stream? Kiss my petals, weave me through a dream. For all of these simple things and much more, the flower is born. It blooms to spread love and joy, faith and hope to people forlorn. Inside every man lives the seed of a flower. If he looks within, he finds beauty and power. Ring all the bells, sing and tell the people everywhere that the flower has gone. Light up the sky with your prayers of gladness and rejoice, for the darkness is gone. Don't fear fears, let your hearts beat freely, it's a sign that a new time is born. Name Sadie, Kaylee, oh, you roses. Say Bonnie, and looking for the day breeze. Name Sadie, Kaylee, oh, you roses. For all of these simple things and much more, a flower is born. It blooms to spread love and joy, faith and hope to people forlorn. Inside every man lives the seed of a flower. If he looks within, he finds beauty and power. Ring all the bells, sing and tell the people everywhere that the flower has grown. Light up the sky with your prayers of gladness and rejoice, for the darkness is gone. Don't be fears, let your hearts beat freely, it's a sign that a new time is born.
So as we move into our flower ceremony this morning, I want to invite you to take the flower you brought with you or the flower that you got from our vases this morning. This flower represents you. I want to invite you to begin to examine it, looking closely at its petals, its stems, any leaves it may have. What unique qualities does this flower hold? And then expand your awareness to yourself. What unique qualities do you hold? Which of your beautiful talents and gifts do you show to the world? What seeds do you hold tightly within you? What seeds may be ready to burst forth and sprout? Think of the flower that is you and how you carry it across the threshold into this community, across the concrete threshold of this building in North Texas, across the virtual threshold of YouTube and the internet, across the invisible threshold of our ties of church that hold us together in community, even when we are physically apart. What do you carry with you into this community? Which of your beautiful talents and gifts do you share with us? Do you add to our horizon bouquet? Do you have a riot of color and fancy petals you bring forth to delight and inspire us? Do you have a sturdy stem that help give us support when we reach up to the sun? Do you have wide leaves to shade us, to provide comfort and shelter from the wind and heat? Do you have prickly thorns that give us the occasional reminder we need not stray too far from our ideals? Do you have a sweet fragrance that can trigger memories and transport us back in time to other gardens, other flowers, other periods when we have struggled, played, mourned, celebrated? What seeds are germinating within you, ready or maybe still needing a bit of time and tending to sprout in our garden? What do you want to plant now to grow in our community over time? As you bring all you bring and you can bring to this community, send those intentions into the flower you hold in your hand. Please join me in the spirit of prayer and meditation with these words from Norbert Happek. Infinite Spirit of life, we ask thy blessing on these, thy messengers of fellowship and love. May they remind us amid diversities of knowledge and of gifts to be one in desire and affection and devotion to the divine will. May they also remind us of the value of camaraderie, of doing and sharing alike. May we not let awareness of another's talents discourage us or sully our relationships, but may we realize that whatever we can do, great and small, the efforts of all of us are needed to do thy work in this world. In a moment, Carmen's going to play some soft music, and I want you to invite each of you to bring up the flower with you and take another flower, one that you didn't bring this morning. Don't think about it too much. Just take one that's calling to you. When you take your flower, I invite you to go back to your seat and have a seat. May we engage in the flower communion. Now I invite you to examine the flower you chose from our communal bouquet. It represents others who are meaningful to you in our Horizon community. Begin to examine it and look closely at its petals, its stems, and any leaves it may have. What unique qualities does this flower hold? Start to think about how the flowers at Horizon, the relationships, the music have changed you, have added to your life. Contemplate, what do I take away with me from Horizon into my everyday life? Who and what delights and inspires me with their showy petals and bright colors? Who and what have supported me with their sturdy stems to help me reach up to the sun? Whose leaves have shaded me, comforted me, sheltered me? Whose prickly thorns have reminded me not to stray too far from ideals? Who or what provides these scent memories of other gardens, other flowers, other periods, when we have struggled, played, mourned, and celebrated? Those seeds I plant or hope to plant, who tends them? How can I tend other people's sprouting hopes, ideals, and dreams? How has Horizon changed me? Who and what do I carry with me across the threshold when I step out in community? How has this community transformed me? As you breathe into all you receive from this community, send these blessings into the flower in your hand and see the beauty of the Horizon community in your flower. And then I invite you to take this flower with you as a reminder of our community's blessings to you. You have consecrated your flowers with your offerings and your blessings. I encourage you to keep them displayed in your home as symbols of all you give to us and all we give to you. Though the flowers may fade over time, our love and community will not. To seal this intention, please hold your hand over your heart and repeat after me. May my heart blossom, with the beauty of love, and the care of community. May it be so, and blessed be.
We extinguish this flame, but not our commitment to welcome radically, love boldly, grow spiritually, and serve courageously. We do this because we envision a beloved community filled with compassion, helping all to thrive in a just world. And now we will have our closing hymn, De Caloris, hymn number 305 in your gray hymnal.
Rainbow
Our benediction is by Audrette Fulbright Fulson. Did you rise this morning with weariness and pain and rage tattered from waving too long in a brutal wind? Get up, child. Put your bones upright. I know you wish the work were done, but remember this. Tired as you are not alone. Amen. Blessed be, and go in peace.